Hey guys, and welcome back to this week's 52-week project video. This week was a really fun week for me because I finally went to a different location to do a photo shoot, because the last few weeks I've been doing them around the suburb that I've been living in. So this week was really great because I got to go out into the city and actually take some photos that I really wanted to take for a long time. I really wanted to do a city-based photo shoot like this for a while, and I'm going to show you guys the mood board that I used actually, because the agent really liked the mood board that I sent through, which was great. And it's nice to always hear that feedback before you're doing a photo shoot, just to know that you're kind of on the right track with things, and they really liked it, so I hope you guys like it as well. It was going to be a more quirky fashion city photo shoot, so I wanted to get some interesting pieces, and I actually did fund this shoot with my own clothing purchases, and I actually went out there and bought some pieces of clothing that I thought were really going to suit the mood board. Once again, it was just me and the model, so we actually didn't have a makeup artist, a stylist or a hairstylist on board. We just did everything ourselves. So Shiying, the model, brought along some of her own clothing, which she did really well. She just nailed the mood board in terms of what I wanted. And then I also brought some clothing along as well, so we could kind of mix and match and see what worked. And in the end, I was really happy with the clothing choices. I just wanted to go a little bit further out there and push my boundaries in terms of fashion styling, because as you guys know, I'm not really a stylist. I do photography, that's my thing, and styling for me is still a little bit foreign, but I think it's something that I really do need to get better at and to have a better eye for, because as a fashion photographer, you really do need to know what looks good. So this week was really a bit of a push for me, but I think it was great because it got me out of my comfort zone a bit more. I chose to use a wide angle lens for this particular shoot as well, and wide angles for a lot of the images. And I really like how I ended up doing that, because I think I managed to get a little bit more on trend with certain crops and angles that are going on in fashion magazines at the moment. And that's kind of the trend that I wanted to follow there. So anyway guys, I'm going to show you now some behind the scenes from the day, and I really hope you guys enjoy. I'm also going to go through a rundown of the images and tell you guys what I liked and what I didn't like as much. So guys, these are my final images for the week, and I'm going to start off first with this image here, and this image is in my top 5 for the week. I really like how it turned out. As you'll see with a lot of these images that I'm choosing, they've all got very strong angles and different posing and just things that are a little bit outside of the box, I think, for my type of photography and my style, and I really wanted to push that this week, you know, so I feel like maybe in some instances it didn't work, but I think in a few images I'm really glad I did take that extra step to push myself outside the box in terms of being creative with fashion photography. So that's why I chose this photo in particular. I think it's a really different pose, and I was really glad, like I said before, that Shiying was able to do a lot of these interesting and creative poses, whereas a lot of people probably wouldn't be too keen on doing that sort of thing. So I really liked how this image turned out, and I kind of like the colouring and the toning too, so it is going to be in my top 5 for the week. This photo is also going to be in my top 5 for the week, and once again, I'm really just interested by this shot. I think I did try and use the lighting to my advantage. It was late in the day, and there were times where it did kind of give a studio effect, and I was really liking the dappled light from the trees as well at this point in the day. So I was trying to use that in a lot of the shots and get that in the background and just sort of make it a little bit more interesting that way. I like the outfits that we chose as well. So not only was I trying to get Shiying to do different posing, we did sort of choose more out there creative outfits as well, and colourful outfits too. So that's not something that I always get to do, and I was really excited to fund this shoot and actually go out and pick some clothing that I thought might stand out pretty well in the photo shoot overall. So I'm going to put this photo in my top 5, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. This photo is a really lovely photo. I think I really like it, and if I had a top 6, it might be number 6, but unfortunately it's not going to be in my top 5. I think it's leaning a little bit more towards what I usually do, and it does kind of have that softer element, which is nice, but not so much what I wanted for this particular shoot overall. So as I said before, angles was what I was looking for with this photo shoot, and unfortunately this photo doesn't have it as much, so that's why it's not going to be in my top 5. I really like how this photo turned out as well, and I like the shadow of Shiying as well against the building behind her. I think it's a very interesting shot, but I think I had stronger photos this week that had more emphasis on the clothing, and that's another thing that I was trying to do with this shoot, was really put that emphasis back on the clothing, which is something that I don't always do, and it's pretty important being a fashion photographer and being able to do that. So I think the clothing doesn't stand out as much in this photo, and that's why I'm not putting it in my top 5. This photo, however, is going to be in my top 5, and I do think that the clothing stands out really well in this shot. I love Shiying's pose, and I really love her expression as well, and the toning really turned out how I wanted it to, so I was really happy overall with how this photo turned out, and that's why it's going to be in my top 5. This photo I do like, but I think it's probably one of the weaker shots for the week. I do like the outfit, but I felt like I just didn't get those photos that I wanted with this particular outfit as well, and I like Shiying's expression and her pose once again, but I just feel like I could have got a stronger shot and a stronger angle with this particular photo, so it's not going to be in my top 5 this week. This photo I also like of Shiying, and I think it's a pretty strong portrait. However, with this photo shoot, like I said previously, I really wanted to create that emphasis on the clothing. I think it does create a little bit of emphasis in this shot, but not enough. I think it's too close up and you're not really getting the entire wow factor with the clothing, so it's not going to be in my top 5 this week. I really love this shot as well. I actually found it quite hard to choose a top 5 this week because I think some of the clothing looked really good in more than just 5 shots, and I really like how this shot turned out, and I like the movement in it. It's a little bit different to what I'd usually do. I usually wouldn't pick a shot like this for my final edits, but I just kind of like something about the image. It's not going to be in my top 5, but I am glad that I tried to choose something that was a little bit different to what I would usually do. This shot is going to be in my top 5, and once again, I think it's got that movement from the previous shot, but it does have a better angle, I feel, and I really love the lighting in it too. I think it really gives a studio effect with that time in the day, and just how the sun was hitting Shiying's face late in the afternoon. I think it really creates a cool effect overall, and I just really like how it turned out, this image, so I am going to put it in my top 5, and I'm pretty proud of the fashion element that's starting to build in some of these shots. This photo I like as well. I think it could have been a little bit stronger. I do like the composition. I think it's a bit different to what I would usually pick, and it does have that angle that I was after, but I think I just had a few more stronger or more interesting shots from this week's shoot, so it's not going to be in my top 5. This photo is going to be in my top 5, and I love Shiying's pose in this, and I think that the top looks really interesting. I think the top looked better in full sun rather than backlit. So with direct sunlight, I think it sort of brought out the colours a lot more, but I still like how it looks in this shot, and I think the elements overall just came together with this photograph, so it is going to be in my top 5 for the week. This photo is one of those nice shots that I would usually take, but I think, like I just said, it's what I would usually do. So I wanted different for this photo shoot, so it's not going to be in my top 5. I think it just needs that little bit more interest factor for me to be able to put it in there. And this is my last shot for the week, and I really like how this shot turned out as well. Like I said, it was hard for me to pick out 5 from the week. I think that there was quite a few different and creative angles that I usually wouldn't do. And I really like the composition of this shot. Maybe not everyone will agree with me on this, but I like how the image turned out overall. It's not going to be in my top 5 because I've already got so many images that I wanted to put in there in the first place, but I do like how the image turned out. So guys, this is my number 1 for the week. It's definitely not one that I would usually choose, and I think that's the reason I've chosen it in the first place, is because it's really different to what I usually photograph, and I think the composition is a little bit strange for me. Like, I'm not used to sticking to rule of thirds a lot of the time, but I think in this instance it looks really interesting with the shadow behind her and the dappled light, and there's just so many strange, interesting things going on in this shot. I think that's why I really like it overall, and as I said, the aim with this photo shoot was to go a little bit different, go a little bit outside of the box. So I think in the end, that's what made me choose this photo, and I'm really happy with how this shoot turned out overall. What I think I did well this week was the fact that I did push the boundaries. And I said that to you guys earlier on in the video. I think that I really did push it with my styling this week and actually try and think outside the box. Whether I nailed it or not, that's up to some of the fashion professionals, I guess, out there, but it's something that I wanted to do, and it was suiting the mood board that I created. So that's one thing that I was really happy about that I did this week. One thing that I didn't do as well is that I think I could have moved around a bit more in terms of the location where we were shooting. I think I stuck to the same couple of areas at the location we were at. So I think I could have moved around a little bit more, but in terms of what I didn't do well, I feel like I did a lot of good things this week, so I'm pretty proud of the photo shoot overall, and I think it's got a fairly good fashion element. I think Shiying was the perfect choice of model for this. She just moved so well, and the first thing she asked me when we actually arrived was, what kind of posing do you like, or what do you want for this shoot? Because I can do crazy posing if you want, I can do different posing, I don't mind doing that. And I was just ecstatic because I feel like a lot of girls don't do that sometimes, especially if you're working with newer models, and I think that that was just a great sign from the start. I was like, yes, I want different posing for this. I want something that's going to look quirky and interesting, and she did that really well. It's now time for me to announce this week's featured photographer of the week, and I'm featuring Chidera Ikpimaram this week from the 52 Week Project group on Facebook, and I've been meaning to feature her for a while because she's had some awesome work, and I just really think she's definitely worth the feature this week. Please go and check out her work. She's had some great weeks at the 52 Week Project, and I think she's developing really well with her work, so definitely go and check her out. I've posted her social media links in the description box below and also in this video. So guys, that's the end of this week's 52 Week Project video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please do. And like I said, always let me know what you want to see with these videos. I am thinking of different ways to change them up. It's kind of going to be a process because I think I need some different technical aspects going on to make it a little bit more interesting, but I will try and do that eventually for you guys to make it a little bit more creative as well. So thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!